Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Metal Magdalene with Jet right here on Metal Messiah Radio. Tonight we have a special guest with us back on the show. We have Danny Nelson of Malignancy. Welcome back to the show, Danny.
What's going on, Jet? How you guys doing out there?
So, Danny, original member, creator of the band, started back in 1992. Danny, what are some of the challenges for a band like Malignancy to have the staying power that you guys have? What are some of the challenges that you had to overcome to still be here today, Danny?
Wow.
2-hour show, so.
Yeah. Well, it's just a lot of things, from where can we play, can we get paid, travel, can we get on a better label? These are all things that we've had to deal with throughout since the 90s. When we were a demo band, we were striving for a label deal. Back then, it was a lot harder to get a label deal. Now, there's so many labels, it's a little bit more easy to get on a label. It might not be the label that you want, but there are a lot of really good, reputable, small labels that will get your name out there. And we luckily hooked up with United Guttural back then, and they really pushed us because they traded. A lot of bigger labels don't really trade. They won't trade their music out to get other stuff in. They'll just not. And then, therefore, your music doesn't get distributed like it should. But these guys hooked us up. So, now we're in that situation again where we are label-less, so to speak. Our contract with Willowtip is up. And, this is why we kind of put this EP out, Malignant Future, because we want to, kind of shop it to some other labels and see what they can offer us. And hopefully we can go to the next step, because that's basically what a band wants to do, is just put out music and get it to more listeners. I mean, that's what I want to do, and the whole point of the band is to spread the malignancy. We want to spread it because that's what we are. We're tumorous. We're cancer. We're trying to spread our word, and through music, and it's tough. It's still even tough for us. I mean, we can't. Some labels won't even listen to our stuff. So, you think that you've been around as long as you have, and you're like, oh yeah, no problem. Any label will listen to us. No, that's not the case. It's really all about cha-ching. How many units did you move on your last release, and what was your last tour, and how long was it for, and all that other stuff. So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes garbage that a lot of these youngins don't know about yet, but they will.
So, okay, you guys been kind of doing some off shows here and there. I know you did the Chicago festival, you went to Berlin. So, I mean, how has this year kind of been going for you with these one-off shows that you've been doing here and there, as far as, crowds and enthusiasm and that kind of thing?
Well, the Chicago Domination Festival was excellent. We had a killer time there. We played with a lot of bands that we've played with since the 90s. A lot of these older bands we've seen a resurgence in a lot of old school death metal, and I can't believe I even called it that, because it's not, because I'm part of that school. Jesus Christ. But being alongside good friends of ours that we came up with, like the Deteriorate and a bunch of others, Gorgasm, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to watch these guys tear the shit out of the stage and see all these young kids that have never seen them before basically, go ape shit. I mean, that's what it's all about. I mean, we play music because we love it. We're fans first and foremost, a lot of us. I mean, I know I am. I mean, the reason why I'm into this is because I'm a fan. Chicago Domination Fest was probably one of the best festivals that we played this year. We also, we just came back from Berlin, last month. We did that. It was a great festival. Just the weather was not on our side. It was freezing cold outside, so we had to set up merch outside, which was not cool. But you do what you got to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's well. So, I stood outside in 40-degree weather. Thankfully, I brought my winter coat with me to Germany. And, we didn't sell much, which is kind of lame, but, we got there. I sat outside, freeze my ass off for most of the time, and then when I finally went into the festival was to go on stage. And we hit the stage, and it was a little slow at first. I don't know, our Berlin fans out there were either sleeping or too slammed out from all the other bands. I don't know. But eventually we got them going, and once they were going, they didn't want to stop, and then before we knew it, we had to get off stage. And then everybody yells at us because we got to get off. So, and then we get off the stage, and then we can't even get a fucking beer, which that is something that I cannot stand, that some venues do here in the United States and abroad. They'll just close. And it's like, we just played. Can we have one beer, perhaps? Extra money? No. It's a good thing that our hostel that we stayed in, which was awesome, had beer. So we just went back to the hostel, and we bought some beers and partied it up and ate some Burger King. that was the highlight of after us playing.
That is such a rock star life, Danny.
Oh my God, you have no idea how amazing it is.
So let's talk a little bit about the new EP, Malignant Future. Took a while to get this one out. Now, what are some of the obstacles that you had to overcome to get this one out, Danny?
Basically me. I mean, I'm the only obstacle. I mean, these guys, this is Malignant Future. I didn't name this. This actually is the name of the artwork that was drawn by Stephen Somers. I pitched this idea to him. What I wanted to know what his view of us as humans in our current state of being all social media'd out, and how we're just completely, like, we can't even walk down the street without looking down at some little stupid screen, and people getting clipped by cars and fucking whatever, walking into walls. It's almost making us all stupid. But anyway, so he came up with this idea, and I was like, great, it looks cool, awesome, when he sent me the art. And he said, yeah, I call it Malignant Future. And I was like, dude, you know what? I'm going to use that for the title of the EP, if you don't mind. And he's like, yeah, sure, go ahead. So that was that. The artwork was probably done 6 months before the recording was finished. I held up the recording because of certain things. Like, I didn't have lyrics prepared properly, and our engineer wasn't available. So it was like a back and forth, and then once we got it, since Mike is away a lot with Fear Factor, it was kind of hard to hammer him down to get him to listen to the tracks. So it's always there's always hurdles that we have to overcome when he's not around. Because say he's out in Europe, and we got to wait a whole 24 hours when we all like a mix, and then we have to wait for his feedback, and then if he doesn't like it, we have to kind of go back. And it was a little tough, but it wasn't as bad as other recordings, to be honest with you. This is only part of a full-length album. Ron and Mike wrote 10 other songs. Well, I should say 10 songs completely. So we have these 3 plus 7 that we're gonna. Mike is slated to track the drums for the other 7 next month in December. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully I won't take forever to write lyrics and get my ass into the studio and do the right thing.
So are you guys like shopping around for labels now, hopefully, before you have to go and actually get the entire album recorded?
Yeah, it's a slow process. I mean, I was told by a friend of mine how to go about doing it, because it's not like the old days when you would just throw a cassette, or a demo into a envelope and send it off, through snail mail. Now it's different. Everybody just kind of wants to go to a SoundCloud page and, view your stats and all that stuff, like I mentioned earlier. How many units have you sold, and, tours you've been on, like little tidbits, so that they can go and do their little investigating to find out, hey, did these guys really sell that many albums? Let's find out. It's all about sound scans, and a lot of our early releases don't have UPC, so guess what? There are no sound scans.
Oh, boy.
It's all basically a guessing game.
Mm-hmm.
And It's tough. I mean, I haven't really done the legwork that I'm supposed to, because I've just had other things. You know, I have a full-time job and life, and it's tough for me to sit and just get. Every time I come home, I'm doing band stuff. I'm getting orders together, or I'm trying to, get some new artwork done for a T-shirt, or you name it. Updating the website, updating anything, and sometimes I can't get to everything. So I've been a little slow on the curve, but in essence, this 3-song EP was for the fans. Like, I really wanted to put something new out for the fans, because we're always getting bombarded with questions about new music and how come we haven't done anything. And the last thing we did was the 7-inch, which was only one original new song, and the other song was a cover on Epilogue on the 7-inch. So, I figured, you know what, let's give the fans 3 brand new tunes and see what they think. If they're digging the direction, I changed my vocal style a little bit, kind of harken back to the way I used to sing back in the early 90s, so you can maybe follow along with me a little bit more instead of it just being jarbled, growly mess. This time I'm actually pronouncing words and syllables. So it's a stretch, but I'm trying.
So then what did the fans think of that? You said you put that out there for the fans to see what they thought of it. What is some of the feedback you've been getting from them now that they could hear what you're saying and everything?
So far, it's been good. I haven't read anything negative, but I'm sure it'll come somewhere. There's always the negative reviews that you got to deal with, and that's fine. Everybody has their opinions. I don't mind. Sometimes if it's a viable opinion, I'll read it and say, oh, all right, yeah, I hear you. But there's other people that like to just bash things for the sake of bashing it. So, whatever.
So then, Danny, other than you trying to do your vocals a little bit differently, did you guys change up anything else, or did you try anything differently, either in writing this album or recording it?
We basically did the same thing that we did for Epilogue, and I believe Eugenics was done the same way, where Mike just tracked his drums in his basement, had total control of his tracking, and then we sent everything to our buddy Elliot Geller, and then he went through the drum tracks, cleaned them up, did what he had to do, and then we would all go in separately. Ron would go in, throw his guitars down, then Monty would go in and do his bass, and then I'd come in last and throw down my vocals, and pretty much did the same thing on this one. The only thing that might be different is probably the production. Production's better on this one. The mixing, we spent a little bit more time on the mixing. We didn't really have a time frame, so we didn't have a time crunch where we were like, hey, we got to have this by this time. Just kind of said, all right, let's just see how this goes, and we took a little bit longer on the mix, but we got the mix going pretty good. Elliot did it for us, and we didn't really go too crazy with mastering either. We kind of just did the mix, and we said, fuck it, this is it. It was a slight mastering, so it's only an EP. It's kind of like a demo EP, if you will, and the finished tracks that'll be on the album will be, much better, hopefully.
Now, also with this EP, you said you have some new merch out?
Well, yeah, we have Indie Merch has got the cover of the EP, Malignant Future. They made shirts for us, so we got that. We did run a pre-order deal where you can get, if you bought the shirt, you would get the EP for free. It was something I wanted to do for the fans as well. I was like, you know what, whatever, here, it's only 3 songs, let's just give it to them free. And Indie Merch was all for it, so we had that whole thing to try to get them copies and then get ourselves copies. So we had stuff when we went to Berlin, because basically we released it. Its release date was in Berlin. We were in Berlin and we were selling copies there, and then it was available digitally in the United States. Like once we hit the stage in Berlin, basically it was everybody that did their little pre-order they were able to download it, and everybody that wanted to buy it digitally could. So I try to time it just right, and I think it worked.
And now, are you guys going to be playing any more shows for the rest of this year?
Yes, we do have a local gig in Queens at Blackthorn 51 coming up later this month on November 18th. It's a Friday, so we'll be doing that. A bunch of good bands on that bill. And then we have a festival down in South Jersey on December 3rd, which is a Saturday. So that should be cool too. I mean, that's it though. Just 2 shows for this year, and then next year, January, we have Hoffest that we're doing up in Mass, and then we have a tour coming up in February. But we don't. I don't really have any particulars about it, but it is definitely in Europe. So we'll be touring Europe in mid-February.
So, Danny, what sites can people go to then to find out what's going on with you, where you're going to be touring in Europe next year, and that kind of thing?
Well, basically, our Facebook page is the best way to get in touch to find out everything, because our website is kind of in limbo, so nobody cares about websites anymore. So we're just doing Facebook for now. It's facebook.com/Malignancy Official. Yes, that is it. And yeah, that's where everything is.
All right. Well, Danny, thank you for taking the time out to come on the show, telling us about the EP, what's coming up with the band, and all that. And all the best to you and everybody in Malignancy.
Thanks a lot, Jet. Cheers.